What is up, guys? So since TBC is right around the corner, I thought today would be the perfect day to talk about how to make gold in phase 1 of TBC. I wanted to make this video a little bit before TBC comes out, so you have time to skill up your desired professions for gold making in TBC, so you don't have to go back and skill up your classic profession skill points when TBC comes out. And I also think many people will use the level 58 boost to either boost a new main or a gold farming alt, in which case this video should be highly relevant. I will mention a couple of different gold making strategies, explain why I think they will work, as well as try to give an estimated gold per hour from the farms. There will be timestamps in the description, as well as the timeline of the video itself will be broken into categories for easy navigation through the topics. So with that being said, let's talk gold making. Gold making strategy number 1 for phase 1 of TBC, especially in the first 2 to 4 weeks of TBC, is to simply go Herbalism Mining. I know this sounds a bit boring and also a little bit obvious, but let me explain quickly why I think this will be a lot more lucrative than a lot of people think, because it's not just used for alchemy and jewel crafting, even though that's a big portion of the demand as well, but it is used in blacksmithing and, for example, warriors, paladins, rogues and shamans, and probably other classes that I'm forgetting about, will need a bunch of bars to craft those weaponsmith weapons. For example, Deep Thunder is crafted by combining several reagents with the base weapon called Thunder, which is crafted by many different primals as well as 6 hardened and adamantite bars, each hardened adamantite bar being made by 10 regular bars. So basically you need 10 adamantite bars, each adamantite bar being made by 2 ores, meaning 120 ores. On top of that, you also need 12 corium bars, and corium is fairly rare. You have several different blacksmithing weapons that people will want to craft very early, and the demand for these ores and bars will be massive just because of that. On top of that, blacksmiths are competing against jewel crafters when it comes to buying these ores from people, so the demand for ores in general will be insanely high at the launch of TBC, and you just can't go wrong by focusing on mining early on. You also have Herbalism, which you can grab as well, so you hit 2 birds with 1 stone, and Herbalism will also give you insane amounts of gold early on, for very obvious reasons. I will say though that if you are going to go for this method, I would recommend being a druid, so you can utilize your flight form when flying in between nodes, which will save you a lot of time throughout the Burning Crusade expansion. It is not required though, but I would really recommend it. When it comes to the gold per hour, it would really depend on your realm and competition, but as long as you get yourself the epic flying mount, I can easily see this going up to 250 gold per hour and above, maybe even reaching 400 gold and 500 gold per hour as well, because of the demand for ores from mining. Farming primals will obviously also be really lucrative, but it will also be heavily camped. I have made a couple of primal gold farming videos, and I won't really talk too much about it in this video, but the TBC Goldmaking guide by Student, which you can find a link to in the description, goes in depth on primal farming, so for more info on primals, go check out that guide, or just stay tuned to the channel, check out my videos, and the ones I'm planning to make. Fishing can actually be very lucrative as well in TBC Classic, because a lot of fish will be used in raiding because of the stat buff it gives from cooking that type of fish. The one thing I've never liked about fishing is how easily bottable it is, and unless Blizzard really sharpens their banning technique for bots in TBC, they can really tank the fishing market, but just in case Blizzard does ban all of the bots, it is definitely worth mentioning that fishing will be lucrative in TBC. If you are going to go for fishing for gold making, I would recommend getting the Weather Beaten journal as well, so you can track fishing schools on your minimap, and fly in between fishing schools, because that way you can target which type of fish to farm for, and in general that should increase your gold per hour from fishing by quite a bit. The gold per hour here is quite difficult to say because it will highly be influenced by whether or not bots will thrive in TBC, but if all of the bots do get exterminated, you should easily be able to make upwards of 200 gold per hour by fishing from pools, especially in Terracar Forest, but simply find the most expensive fish on your server, then go out and hunt those fish. Another thing I'm going to pay really close attention to early in TBC especially the first 2 weeks, is netherweb spider silk. This is used in multiple tailoring crafts, especially the tailoring specialization armor, which every single tailor will rush to obtain early on, and each tailor will need in between 8 and 10 of these netherweb spider silk for their tailoring specialization armor sets. That might not sound like too much, but because there will be a massive amount of tailors, and pretty much every single cloth user will have tailoring, it causes a massive demand for this item. The netherweb spider silk can also only be farmed in a handful of locations, one of them being right outside Chatrath farming Dreadfang lurkers, or you can farm them in the Black Morass, unless Blizzard decides to alter the loot tables of those mobs. If the Black Morass farm works, I massively prefer that one because it's instanced, and higher drop rates as well, but if not, then farming outside Chatrath will still work. You will also get some netherweb spider silk by killing the spiders in Karazhan as well, which over time will generate a decent supply, but at the launch of TBC the demand will outweigh the supply by a ton, which means the price will go through the roof. The gold per hour from this will depend on whether or not the Black Morass farm remains available, but if it does, then you should be able to see 400 gold plus per hour from this farm. However, if you have to farm them in the open world, then you have to factor in competition for mobs, which brings the value down. When it comes to gold making and gold farming in phase 1 of classic TBC, I also have to talk about stealth running dungeons as a druid or rogue. I will talk about this from a rogue point of view because they also have the added benefit of being able to open locked chests and also having Herbalism Mining. So on the TBC beta, some Herbalism and mining spawns are now tied to mobs, meaning that the second you try to grab a node, it will pull the pack of mobs. That being said, several chests as well as mining veins and herbs are still not tied to mobs, and actually spawn far away from mobs as well, and even right now on the TBC beta, some people keep telling me it is impossible to do stealth runs, but I still get better results from stealth runs than I get from open world farming. And that's on the beta, where there's little to no competition on open world farming, so if you add the competition from classic TBC once it comes live, and add that to open world farming, stealth runs will surely be a lot more effective than open world farming, just in terms of Herbalism and mining. I did a quick test for flame caps farming recently, where I spent 30 minutes inside the underbog, which was 5 resets worth of farming, and then 30 minutes in the open world, and during that session I got 4 flame caps from the underbog, and literally not a single one from open world farming. Stealth running dungeons for chests will also be insanely lucrative for rogues, as you can obtain rare weapons and items as well as recipes, and even rare gems used for jewel crafting in those chests, which will be worth a lot of gold early in TBC. It is a little bit RNG though, but I would actually guess that the rough average gold per hour for a rogue stealth running will be over 500 gold per hour for the first couple of weeks of TBC. The thing about TBC Classic is that we are entering a brand new expansion with brand new materials, and to begin with we have literally zero supply of them, while the demand will be there from the start. People will be rushing to level 70, getting their reputation, and attuning themselves to raids, and those people will be way too busy to farm materials they need themselves, so they will use the gold they stockpiled in Classic WoW to buy everything they need, so the prices of things could be insanely high, giving you a lot of gold per hour, and I really can't wait to see it unfold. The gold per hour from any type of gold farms always skyrocket at the launch of any expansion, and for TBC in general the gold per hour will be insane early in the expansion, then it will drop off a bit, and then it will pick back up again due to direct gold inflation, but by farming a lot of gold in the first month of TBC, and then being smart about investing in items, you can make so much gold it's absolutely ridiculous. So with that being said, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please take the time to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and if you want more classic TBC content, make sure you subscribe, as I will be uploading a lot of TBC videos and you don't want to miss them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.